Good Monday afternoon and welcome to This Week at Alabama A&M University. I'm your host, Michael Burns. And as many of you know, the Alabama Cooperative Extension System of Alabama is the primary educational outreach organization for Alabama A&M University and Auburn universities. Together they serve residents in all 67 counties. Now, during the course of this show, we'll refer to Cooperative Extension as we used to know it as Alabama Extension. Housed here at Alabama A&M, it has a staff in 9 urban centers across the state that provide outreach programs to residents in 24 counties, including Madison, Morgan, and Limestone counties. Now today, we have several guests on our Zoom to discuss the activities at the Virginia Caples Lifelong Learning Institute under the guidance of Alabama Extension. As many of you are aware, VCLU and Extension staff coordinate the annual Successful Aging Initiative that is held at the Union Chapel Missionary Baptist Church annually. Unfortunately, the SAI conference will not be held this year, but guests are here to talk about past, current, and future plans taking place with the Virginia Caples Learning Living Institute. We're going to find out who our guests are today, and I'm going to ask them to start as I look at them. Well, we'll do it this way. I know where to start. Dr. Richardson, please introduce yourself, and we'll go from there.
Thank you, Mr. Burns. In fact, I know it's normal that we would introduce ourselves, but today I hope you will let me introduce the persons who have come with me, who are accompanying me, because we have a new director, and I want to make sure that I present her to the audience.
Okay.
So I'm Bernice Richardson and been serving as the co-director for the Virginia Caples Lifelong Learning Institute for a little while now, for about 2 years. And I'd like for you to know that we have been supported very well by Mrs. Candra DeBose, and she is the program assistant for the Virginia Caples Lifelong Learning Institute. And most of the folk in the audience who have been working with us really have already met Candra through the various programs that we have had. But I would like to introduce to the audience Ms. Danielle Rudolph. And Ms. Rudolph is coming to us as she Director, Urban and Regional, Urban Regional Extension Agent in the Montgomery area. And so today, though, she is no longer in that position. She is the coordinator of the Virginia Caples Lifelong Learning Institute, as we know it, the VCLLI. And we're really happy to have her with us. She is really a bulldog. She graduated from Family and Consumer Sciences with a Human Development option, and we're really happy to have her. I'm going to ask her to just, now she can tell you a little bit about herself so that I won't miss any of the salient points, Mr. Mike.
All right,
Thank you, Dr. Richardson. Thank you all for welcoming to the Virginia Caples Lifelong Learning Institute. I am familiar with the Hill, as Dr. Richardson said. I started my college career on the Hill in 2000. I'm from Lowndes County, Alabama, and I've worked with the Alabama Cooperative Extension System for nearly 12 years. But I have about 16 years of experience in extension, starting with the University of Kentucky as a 4-H agent. So I've had the honor of chairing Successful Agent Initiative conferences and expos since 2009. So I'm very familiar with SAI, as we refer to it, with the Successful Agent Initiative. And as a family and child development agent, I have delivered programs and worked with our senior adults in the Montgomery region, that's Montgomery, Elmore, and Autauga counties. So that's what I've done for the last almost 12 years. December 8th will be 12 years in Alabama Cooperative Extension.
Well, welcome to the position. We want to say welcome to the Hill, welcome to the position. And also, so we're glad that all of you could join us today. Did you have something you wanted to say, Ms. DeBose rather?
I'm just going to follow everyone else. I'm good. I've been with Extension now for 7 years as the program assistant, and I'm enjoying myself. And I look forward to working with Danielle. And I thank Dr. Richardson for her leadership in the past.
All right. We're just happy that all of you could be here with us today, and I appreciate you joining us. Now, as we said, because of COVID-19, changes were made, and this year was no different. with the Successful Aging Initiative and the conference, tell us a little bit about why those changes were made or why we didn't have one this year, really.
Well, you know, the first thing they say when they're talking about COVID, they will say that certain people, certain age should be still and try to stay safe. And so that's one of the reasons that when the pandemic came, we thought very seriously about how can we continue to offer the SAI conference, because it is one of those that has about, let's say, more than 1,000 folk in attendance, and you can't social distance during that kind of time. So we decided, for health reasons and safety reasons, we decided that we would not offer the conference this year. But by no means are we saying that we are not going to continue this, because this would have been our 19th year that we would have offered the conference.
Now, to our listeners, give us a little background on the VCLLI.
Well, in 2015, the Board of Trustees at Alabama A&M approved the establishment of the Virginia Caples Lifelong Learning Institute. And of course, we know that the institute was named in honor of the late Dr. Virginia Caples. And she looked at the needs of seniors and realized that through some coordinated efforts in an institute or a center, that we might be able to attend to the needs of older Americans a little bit better in a comprehensive kind of way. And we want you to know that the VCLLI is one that kind of stands out. Hampton is the only other institution, Black institution, that really has an institute like ours, and it being an HBCU. But the other interesting part is that we are the only land grant institution that has one of these institutes, like the Lifelong Learning Institute, where we will attend to the needs of and provide resources for older adults.
Now, we know as part of some of those resources are classes and things that you offer to these older adults. What are some of those classes that are offered through the VCLLI?
I'll ask Ms. Candra to answer that one for us.
Okay, some of the classes that we've had in the past have been credit scams, computers for seniors, smartphones for seniors, line dancing, healthy eating, jewelry making, card making. We've even had around the house locks, hinges, and knobs. And this year we added a couple of new ones. We've had one called You Don't Know My Story. So we've had an array of classes and opportunities for our participants.
When you mentioned cell phones, I thought about my mother and Dr. Richardson. You know who I'm speaking of. When once before, she made a phone call. She told me to come pick her up, but she didn't tell me where she was, and she cut her phone off. She didn't just hang up, she cut it off. So then she called back 2 hours later and wanted to know where was I. If only we had those classes back then. With these changes though, and with our older Americans, our older population, how are they adapting to some of these things? Because of course, just like today, we're conducting this interview via Zoom. How are they dealing with this new technique or this new normal, if we will?
I would say that some are open to the changes, and then we have some that are not so open to the changes, but the objective is to get them to become a little bit more open, because whether we like it or not, this seems to be the direction in which we're going, and we don't know how long we'll be in this pandemic. So to help further their education, and especially in technology, it would be helpful for them to, learn as much as they can about technology, so they'll be able to use it and be more comfortable with it. So I think the more familiar they become with it, they adapt easier to it.
Okay, now we know that this is one of the things that they'll have to get used to, but what are some of the other advantages or challenges that our older population will be have to be ready for?
Well, when it comes to the challenges, it can be as little as if you don't have the connectivity, if you don't have internet, if you don't have a computer, if you're not cell phone tech savvy as far as maybe even doing a Zoom from your phone. I'm not sure where everyone is doing their Zoom from, but I'm actually doing my Zoom from my phone. But it also can be done from an iPad or a computer. So that could be a challenge in some areas for some of the population. But again, if you become familiar with it, don't be afraid of it. I mean, you'll love it in the long run, because you'll have the opportunity to even talk to grandchildren and children that may not be in the same city or state with you. And it brings us closer, even though we're social distancing.
Dr. Richardson, they also are facing other obstacles also with getting older. They have got to be able to take care of themselves in many ways, or tell somebody how to take care of them as they get advanced in their years. What are some of those challenges?
Yes, those challenges are out there. You know, since I am old,
You'll never hear me say that.
I hear many times we hear people separating the kinds of challenges that all families have. We worry about living accommodations, whether we're going to be able to continue to live at home or near our children. We worry about, believe it or not, while a lot of grandchildren think we have all the money in the world, we're concerned, older citizens are concerned about paying their bill. And always about healthcare, it would appear. But financial concerns, those were the two things that the VCLLI, I guess, would hang its hat on, is that health and wellness, as in physical health, but also in financial health. And Danielle might want to just hop in a little bit. If you want to say something about that. But we do, Candra mentioned using technology, but just some of the regular things that folk would normally have at home are the same things that we're concerned about. And probably we may be able to go back and look at the resources that we have that we can build on because we have been here before, and there's the wisdom of that. But even maybe Danielle might want to add something to that.
I think we can add, with this pandemic, many seniors are facing social isolation. So we talk about social distancing, but we're looking at that as a precaution. But when you are inside your home and you're the only voice that you hear, you know, that for many seniors, they've had to struggle with adjusting to not seeing their family as regular, or visiting with friends, going to the senior centers, because that did give them that connection that we all long for. We all have a sense of belonging. And so we can add that to the list of things. So I don't think this platform will be one that we will stop using even after it's safer for us to be able to meet in person. So we do look at ways in which we can teach them even how to use Zoom. So Zoom classes are being offered through VCLLI and several of the other teams that we have with Alabama Extension and Alabama A&M University. Within health issues, so for those who have had COVID, there could be some long-term effects, but even looking at how to keep your immune system strong. Just so many things and then family members, navigating decisions that you're making as a family. So with VCLLI, we definitely want to focus on some of those concerns and even trends amongst our older adults.
So, Ms. Rudolph, while I've got you here, what can we look forward to coming from the VCLLI? What are your expectations? You're the new kid on the block here, so tell us what's going to happen.
Yes, I am. So I'm excited that VCLLI is going statewide. Primarily, the focus has been in the Madison County area, Madison County, North Alabama, but VCLLI is going statewide, and by that I mean that we will look to have successful agent initiatives throughout the state. When it's safe to gather, we will look to have one in the northern, central, and southern region of the state, and eventually expand to the 9 urban centers. I'm looking forward to us, when it's safe to gather again, to have other ventures in state, out of state, taking trips, having fun shops as well as workshops. I would love for us to convene, and we are planning to convene maybe an advisory team or ambassador group of seniors representing the state of Alabama, so that we can hear from them as a focus group to help plan the programs that we're going to offer. I mean, we want to have something for that addresses, as I said, and Dr. Richardson said, some of those needs of our senior adults. But we also want to have family workshops, because most of the time we're talking to our seniors, but their daughters or their sons or their siblings are making those decisions for them. So we want to be able to provide this information to their families as well, various topics, so that the family can have what they're needing as they're navigating this phase of senior adulthood, and as they're preparing for senior adulthood.
You know, I'm wondering from each of you, what are some of the things that you are interested in? If you were a senior citizen and you were going to one of these ASAIs, forgive me, what is it something that you would want to hear that maybe we haven't spoken about today?
Well, for me, I would want to, I'm a planner, so I would want to know about planning for that next phase, I'm planning for retirement, but also planning for life in retirement. What are the hobbies? What are the activities? What resources can help me? How can I extend the resources that I have? Of course, I'll be looking to have fun too, because it'll be that day out. So if someone's in Montgomery, we've had when Virginia College was open, we had students there giving chair massages and manicures and pedicures, and I look forward to it. So we want to have that mix of fun, but also, again, that information, being that resource to them, so that when they leave there, they felt like they come to that one place that they can get access to information on health, finance, whatever it is that they wouldn't otherwise get. And then they've also had an enjoyable time meeting other seniors too. So they have a networking activity as well, option.
What about you, Dr. Richardson or Ms. DeBose?
I'll let Ms. DeBose answer that one.
I tend to go a little bit different, because I am a country girl at heart. I am from rural South Alabama. So my focus would probably be on, I want more information on how to navigate or get information to those seniors who live in the rural area of the state, because I know a lot of times they miss out on the information because it's not expanded to them. And the person that comes near and dear to my heart is my grandmother. She's 85. And if you know me, to know me is to know her. And she's up to date because I'm here and I work in extension, and I think I'm thankful for that. So I sort of kind of keep her up. But what about all those other seniors who are in that area who may not have access to the information and things that they can get and services and stuff like that? So I would probably want some more information on that if I was going to a conference.
Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No,
Dr. Richardson, you have a unique perspective on this as we're speaking. With you and your peers, when you speak to them and when you look at it, what is the most important thing that you possibly can bring back from one of these SAIs?
Oh my gosh, when I guess they come back with a renewed spirit, because one of the things that we have seen is that it's the interaction, you know, and that was the reason. Let me just stop right there. As I usually say, put a pin right there. When I think about persons who look forward to, I've gotten calls about it, and they'll say, "Are we not going to have it?" And I thought about, you know, that all you want to do is get into those various workshop rooms and talk, and then get into the lunchroom. You know, we cannot have this conference and stay socially distant. I think it's the interaction that it brings while we are learning, while our participants are learning. They are also socializing. And my husband was telling me one day, he said, I have a friend, and he says his mother is out looking forward to the conference, and I don't know how he's going to tell her that the conference is not going to be this year, because she was looking forward to going, interacting with the other seniors, and receiving the many gifts and all that we give each year. These are not, we don't just go out and get little matchboxes. We give things that might help you read if you can't read without some magnification. you might have a magnifying glass or something. So it's just a lot of things like that that I think they learn and we learn at this conference. And to top it off, we have had fantastic, super speakers. Do you remember last year, the speaker we had? Oh my gosh, oh my gosh. What about telling the stories? What about having an athlete come, an Olympian, world Olympian? I mean, we have just had some wonderful, and oh, I forgot, then the oldest woman bodybuilder. Can you believe that? So you sit there in that audience and you see all of this and you come back home, you've got to be energized for the future. And that's why I get excited about VCLLI, and I get excited about the conference that we have every year, and even about the classes that we will have.
I think one of the key things that we can say about the Virginia Caples Lifelong Learning Institute and the Successful Aging Initiative is that it shows a positive perspective on aging. This is how we're celebrating aging. This is how we're embracing aging. It's not a period of where, you know, our seniors have nothing to contribute. They're not old and decrepit. They have a lot to contribute. And we also tell them thank you. Thank you for paving the way for us. Because of what we enjoy, the luxuries that we have, it's because of them. So this is our way of saying thank you. This is our way of showing that, hey, there's still fun in aging. There's still much to learn. You don't stop learning because you graduated high school or because you retired. There's still so much more that they can receive as well as give.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Ladies, I want to thank all of you for participating today. You've been wonderful guests. We've been talking about the Virginia Caples Lifelong Learning Institute. Is that correct?
That's correct.
I tried off the top of my head there. You finally got it to me after 10 years. And also the Successful Aging Initiative Conference. We unfortunately didn't have it this year, but these ladies will make sure that next year, and Dr. Richardson, I'm putting you in there, that next year it'll be bigger and better than ever. Is that true?
That is
Correct.
so true. And I will be the person walking around with my big sign that says I'm now 80.
Oh, really? Well, we'll look forward to that party. Ms. DeBose, I want to thank you for joining us. Ms. Rudolph, thank you for joining us. And also Dr. Richardson. So happy to have you here with us today on This Week at Alabama A&M. That's going to take care of us for this show today. We'll see you next time right here on 90.9 FM WJAB with This Week at Alabama A&M University. Stay tuned to more Afternoon Expressions with Marcus Sims.